This video is about slide maintenance, basically how to take care of your slide at the end of the day and at the start of the day when you lubricate it. And also at the end of this video I'll give you some tips as to some things to try and avoid with your regular slide usage so that you can get the best out of your trombone slide. So first we'll talk about how to treat your slide at the end of the day. So I have the slide already prepared here. I take the hand slide, the outer slide off, and we'll focus first on the inner slide. I'll just pop that over here. First I take a cloth and I like to wipe off any excess cream or grime that might have built up in the slide during a daytime of use. I use my slide a lot, so that can be a fair bit of grime, so I carefully wipe it off. Notice whenever I am putting pressure on one of these pipes, I always hold on to the pipe that I'm putting pressure on. So I tend to hold on to this pipe when I'm cleaning with this one, and then hold on to this pipe when I'm cleaning this one. And that's just good for making sure that we don't put undue pressure on the slide to maybe make it go out of alignment. If we're holding onto the same pipe, that's the safest way that we can do it. The next part of cleaning this inner part of the slide, you will need one of these. I'll try and get that up close to the camera. This is a trombone cleaning rod, and one may have come in the case for the trombone that you actually own. If not, they're easy enough to find on the web. I think they're usually less than $10. There's a lot of places you can get them for. 10 or 15 absolute maximum at a music store, I think, and I would get 2 of these for reasons I'll show you. The first of these I like to thread with a small piece of cloth, and that's to clean the inner parts of this inner slide, or the part of the inner slide that takes the mouthpiece, where I blow into. I take a piece of cloth and thread it through that little needle part at the end that's a bit smaller than a bow tie. That's because these pipes tend to be a little thinner than the ones on the outer hand slide, and what I'm trying to do is clean out basically any dirt or grime or bacteria that can build up from spitting into this thing all day. Let's face it, that's what we do. And also to dry it out at the end of the day, because it's nice to have a dry slide as it sits overnight rather than a moist slide for a whole lot of reasons. Again, I hold on to the pipe that I'm about to clean, and I insert this here. I just run it through and just make sure I dry out and clean out any grime that might have been in there. I'm going to change to this other stocking. Same thing, hold on to the pipe that you're about to clean, push that down. I'll actually fan that out so we don't get it caught. And just clean out the inside part of that. And then when I'm done, as I look through that, you can't see from there, but as I hold this up to the light, it looks like a kaleidoscope in there. It's that bright and it's that polished on the inside. That's what I want. Next, I'm going to pick up the hand slide, or the outer slide, and let's take care of this with my second cleaning rod. And this one I thread up with a piece of what they call cheesecloth, which you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's or any home improvement store. Maybe you can probably get some at a hardware store as well. Or you can go online, and there's plenty of places that you can get, you know, many square feet of this for not much money. Basically, I wrap it around the rod of the hand slide. As you can see, I'm just wrapping that around there and trying to make a nice thick amount of cloth around, I said around the hand slide, sorry, I meant around the cleaning rod. And then that's nice and fat. As you can see, that's probably fatter than the width of my hand slide. But I'm going to pull that back down the slide right now, just to keep it nice and tight. It'll thin it out a little bit, And it also means that I'll be holding onto the cloth down here, so there's no likelihood that it's going to get caught up inside the hand slide. And the job now is, first of all, to get any excess water out of there. And secondly, we are trying to dry and polish the inside of this. Remember, hold on to the pipe that you're polishing, so that as you're putting, it's a nice snug fit and we're polishing it. So as you're putting, a little bit of pressure on there, and working that up and down, you're holding on to the very pipe that you're polishing, so you're not causing the slide damage. And then the same for the other tube. Polish it up. And that slide is ready to be put to sleep at the end of the day. It's nice and dry, so you can put it back in the case. I actually hang my slides up overnight. I'm a little OCD like that, just because a hanging slide means that there's no pressure on it, which means it's going to keep its natural state for as long as possible. And I'm a professional trombonist, so I want that to be a very long time. So, you wake up the next morning and you're about to do band rehearsal. How do I put slide cream on the slide? Or, there's different types of oils. I'm aware there's different types of creams out there on the market, different types of oils. Some people like to use a product called Slider Mix, which is kind of a cross between both. I won't go into what is right for you. You'll be able to decide that the best for you. What I will say is I personally choose slide cream because I think it protects, lubricates, and cleans the slide better than any of the other products. So, when I'm putting slide cream on my slide, the slide cream that I use is a product called Formula 3 by the company called Con. There's also one called Super Slick, which I like a lot as well. There's lots of different types of cream. This is just the one that I use. And as you can see, it comes in a little thing like that. I use about this much for one single usage. Now, in Australia, I'd say spread it on like Vegemite. That doesn't really mean anything in the United States because you guys don't eat that stuff. But basically, quite sparingly. This is all I will need because I'm not going to spread it up and down the entire slide. In actual fact, you notice that there's a little ridge down the bottom of the slide about a few inches before the end of the slide. That's because the slide gets about 0.004 of a millimeter wider here, so we can see that ridge. And this is where most of the friction with the outer slide is going to take place. So the only part that I put slide cream on is actually these two parts of the prongs there. If you look, I'm just going to rub that in, and I won't go over the top of that ridge because I don't need to. I've seen a lot of people put cream down here and then they put lots of cream up here as well. That's just going to build up on the slide and make it so that you have to clean it off a lot more frequently. This is really all the cream that you need, because what you're trying to do is paint the inside of the outer slide with the cream that you just put on there. And that's what I'm about to do right now. I'll just work that up and down, and that's painting the inside of the outer slide. And I'll turn it over. Make sure that I paint it thoroughly all the way around the inside of the outer slide. And then when I use the trombone, I will add water, of course, because that's the final step. The cream's job is to repel the water. And so what ends up happening, if the water still beads, the cream is making the inside and outside slide repel each other. That's the idea. You want as little friction as possible. When I put all of this on the trombone, then I'm ready to play. Usually what I do is I play for about 5 or 10 minutes, and that has the effect of just really coating the slide the way that I want it coated. After about 10 minutes, you'll also find that this cream doesn't just lubricate, but it also cleans the slide. And so after about 10 minutes, if there's anything that needed to come from the outer hand slide had to come up, the cream has drawn out any impurities. And if I just wipe that lightly off of each of these two slide stockings, then I can just reapply the water, and for the rest of the time that I am in rehearsal, that's going to be all I need to have a sweet, slick slide that's ready to go. You might say, hold on a second, Tom, you just put all that cream on and then 3 seconds later you wiped it off. Well, remember, usually I do it after about 10 minutes just to let it really work in. But also, you have to remember that the real job happened when I coated the inside of the outer slide with that cream. Any cream that's left on the inner slide right now is just a bonus. And we can wipe it off. Usually it's picked up some impurities that we like to get rid of as well. It's like the trash man. So we like to let the trash out. And there we go. Now to finish off this video so that it has as much information as is needed, I think, so that you can travel forward and take really good care of your slide, I want to tell you a few things to avoid. My students often come into my studio, and I'm aware that they are probably doing 2 things with their instrument. One of the don'ts to do with your instrument, and please don't try this at home, I'm just demonstrating for the purposes of the video, is when your band director says, break, go get a drink of water, and then come back in about 10 minutes and we'll try again. I'm aware that most trombonists might be sitting down and they say, okay, cool, turn around, they put the trombone, just rest it on the seat that they've been sitting on, and they kind of go like this, because as we're doing it, we know that it's a pretty precarious arrangement at best. It's just kind of balancing there really, really precariously. And then we walk away and take care of what we have to take care of. Don't do this. The 2 things that it does is it puts weight on the slide, which over time can make it go out of alignment, meaning that it will need to be repaired. And the other thing is, anybody that walks past your trombone so precariously balanced like this can easily knock it, and of course the slide and the trombone will fall, and both of them will need to be repaired. So we want to avoid that at all times. The better way of dealing with this would be getting a trombone stand and using your slide lock, and that way you can rest it on a trombone stand, and while you're there to watch it, this is a safer way of doing it, and the slide is free of anything touching it, so it's not putting pressure on the slide. The best way, if you have to walk away from the instrument or out of the room to take care of it, is literally to take it apart, put it in the case, and latch it up. It's always safest in the case, and you know it takes 30 seconds, and it's worth being able to come back and know that your trombone was okay. The other thing that I see students doing while the trombone's in their hand is either resting it on the little black thing just down there on the end of the slide, on the ground, under its own weight. So I might be talking to a student and they might be listening to what I'm saying and standing like this with the trombone resting on the little black thing. Some students even like to fidget as I talk to them, and so they might be twisting the trombone on that little black thing. Or we might be in a band rehearsal, and as we're sitting, waiting for the next entrance, we might have it resting on that little black thing on the ground. I want to suggest in rehearsal, it's so easy just to put the bell on your knee, just like that, and it takes all the pressure off the slide. It's much safer. And I want to suggest when you hold your trombone slide and put the weight of the trombone, when you hold your trombone like this and you put the weight of the trombone on the slide, it's unnecessary and it's not good for the slide. If you hold your trombone like this, your trombone is free of all that weight, and it's just a much better way of doing it. These are ways that you can just make sure you don't injure your slide after you've taken such good care of putting it to bed, like we did at the start of this video, and creaming it up and protecting it like we did in the middle of this video. So I hope some of the information in here has been useful for you, and that will give you a nice slick slide, which allows you pretty much to be able to do almost anything. I'll see you in the next video.